You know, I considered coming on stage wearing a straitjacket. To illustrate the point, but also to be a tad dramatic. But that was impractical, so here I am. But imagine, it's a unicorn. Magical, majestic, unique. How in the world does it wind up in a straitjacket? Let me tell you a story. It was a warm, sunny day in spring. My high heels clicked loudly as I walked across the marbled floor. In my Chanel suit and matching pearls, I glided across the foyer of the imposing 19th century building. I took the elevator to the top floor and entered my office. From my office window, I could see the city of Paris laid out before me. It was breathtaking. And it'd taken me a long time to get here. You see, I was born and raised in Ghana, West Africa, running around barefoot in the dusty, noisy, chaotic streets of Accra. And now here I was, working for one of the world's top investment banks, in one of the greatest cities of the world. Man, I'd made it. You know when you've worked really hard to achieve a massive goal in your life, it feels good, right? So why then did I feel like I was living my worst nightmare? Why did I wake up in panic every time the alarm rang, dreading another day of work? Why would I cry on the subway home most evenings? And then there was that awful day when my boss came into my office and said, "Linda, I want to talk to you about your poor performance." What? Poor performance? Me? Listen, I was the geeky kid in school. I got the highest grades. I graduated with honors. I exceeded targets everywhere I went. How could I be doing poor work? I didn't dare tell anyone about it, not even my family, especially my family. You see, it wasn't just my dream job, it was also my parents' dream job for me. To think that 20 years ago they'd left everything they knew, their friends, their family, their work, and moved to a whole new continent, just so that my brothers and I could get a good education, and one day end up in a job like the one I had, that I was currently spectacularly messing up. Well, I survived that conversation with my boss, but eventually, the stress and the strain started to show. I lost weight, I looked terrible. I was feeling ill. It was over. It had to be. So I left. I left the job, the life, the apartment in Paris that I had worked so hard for. And then I moved into a shared flat with a couple of friends, got the first job I could find, bottom of the run. There was low pay, low prospects, low responsibility. It was nothing. And I felt good for nothing, so it was perfect. But then something unexpected happened in this new role. You see, the role was in HR, human resources, so it was all about working with people. All day long, I got to laugh with people and help people and talk to people. And I really enjoyed that. Instead of feeling stressed at work, I felt like I could breathe. Instead of being micromanaged, I was given extra responsibilities. Instead of being criticized, I was recognized for my efforts. After a while, I was charged with recruiting people from all over Europe. And within a year, I was promoted to International HR Manager. Wow. So looking back, why did I struggle in my so-called dream job and thrive in my new role in HR? Well, the clues were all there if I looked for it. You see, as a child, I asked a lot of questions. One of those, age 5, I remember my parents' friends would come around for dinner and I'd grill them about what jobs they did and how much money they made. Of course then, my biggest motivation was to find out who I could expect the biggest birthday present from. And then in school, at Homework Club, I used to help other kids with their resumes for work experience, just for fun. I loved doing it. And then as a teenager, I had a part-time job as a checkout cashier in a supermarket, and every time the customers would come through my till, my cash register, I'd grill them about what jobs they did, and I'd give them unsolicited careers advice while scanning their cornflakes. See, I've always been curious about how people end up in their jobs. And in hindsight as well, when I looked back, all my previous roles up until that point were highly interactive, involved dealing with people. I was always complimented on how well I could connect with anyone and make friends. I didn't think it was special at the time, but that genius was always there. Magical, magnificent, unique. You see, everyone has a unique genius inside of you. Something that you love to do, something that when you use in your work, it has the power to earn you a truly successful life. Whether you work for someone else or whether you start your own business. But ignoring that genius and landing in the wrong role for you is a downward spiral with potentially lifelong ramifications. Laying in bed awake at night with that tight knot in your stomach, that sickening feeling. It doesn't feel right. You can't be yourself, but you don't actually understand what it is, so you can't share with anyone. And it's lonely. The fake smiles, doing work you don't agree with people you can't stand. It's frustrating. So you take it out on your friends and your family. It affects your mental health and your self-confidence. You see, in my so-called dream job, I miss the human interaction. I miss working with people. All day long, the only thing I ever got to interact with was spreadsheets. Spreadsheets. No wonder I struggled with it. Because being in the wrong job for you is always a struggle. Albert Einstein once said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it spent its whole life believing it was stupid. Now, in the wrong job for you, you'll be underpaid, undervalued, and you'll think you're stupid too. A Gallup poll of the workplace showed that 85% of employees are disengaged at work. 85%. That's 85% of people that view their jobs negatively, that are disengaged at work, they do the bare minimum, have no emotional attachment to their work. You may have heard of people say they feel trapped in their jobs. It's restricted, it's uncomfortable. There's no room for growth or self-expression or creativity. Do you know what else feels like that? Being in a straitjacket. Another survey showed that, and this was done in America, disengaged employees cost organizations around $550 billion per year. Imagine that. So in the wrong job, the worker loses, the employer loses, everybody loses. So, how do we know how to get into the right career, which is the right career for us? It's the one question I'm asked the most everywhere I go. And I'd like to give you 3 simple steps to figure it out. Step 1, look for the clues. Do a scan of your life, your childhood, your interests, your hobbies, your previous experiences. What did you love to do? What energized you? What are you naturally good at? What are you always complimented on, especially as a child? In your previous roles, what did you do that time flew by? once you've got a few activities, dig a little bit deeper. So if it's swimming that you love, for example, what about it do you love? Is it the alone time, the being in water, the exercise, the health benefits? If it's hanging out with your friends, what about that do you love? Is it being part of a group, the buzz of being part of a group? Is it being listened to? Is it organizing people? And have fun with this exercise, because hopefully what you're thinking about will make you smile and feel good. Step 2, connect the dots. Now that we've identified some activities in step 1 that you love to do, it's time to see if there's a common theme between these activities. Seemingly unrelated activities could have a common theme, what I call your zone of genius. So I'll give you an example. Lee, a client of mine, he works as a computer programmer. In his spare time, he writes screenplays. According to Lee, as a child, he had an army of imaginary friends. Imaginary friends, computer programmer, screenplays, seemingly unconnected activities. But when we look closer, there's a common theme. You see, Lee's genius, is the ability to visualize a concept in his head and turn it into reality. Whether it's interpreting his customer's vision into a beautiful website, or bringing to life those imaginary characters in his head onto the big screen, he brings amazing creativity to everything that he does. Another example is Sarah. Sarah is a journalist. She also, at the weekend, sings at opera concerts. According to her friends, she comes up with the best one-liners at parties. Funny girl, journalist, opera singer. Can you tell what her genius is? I'll give you a clue. See, in writing columns as a journalist, or moving her audience to tears as an opera singer, or making people laugh their heads off with their hilarious punchlines, Sarah's genius is the ability to connect and communicate with her audience on a deeper level. Now it's your turn. See if you can find the common themes, your genius, and the activities you've identified in step 1. And finally, step 3. Now that we've found your life clues in step 1, identified your genius in step 2, step 3 is apply your genius. It's time to put them to work for you. The idea here is to apply that genius into a career that will give you the best possible chances of success, fun, fulfillment. So if you're like me and you love working with people, and you've identified that your genius is asking killer questions, then you might be able to do that as a coach or consultant, where asking the right questions gets your clients to reflect deeply and experience breakthroughs. You could work as an interviewer. Your natural curiosity would extract those juicy details from your interviews. Or in research work, or as a private investigator, or even in sales, where asking the right questions drills down to exactly what information is needed. You see, when you apply these 3 steps, it opens up a whole host of careers that need your genius. They maximize your natural talents, and they make you a standout star in work that you love to do. See, the topic is careers, but the subject is you. The core, purest, genius version of yourself. So in a nutshell, in exploring career options, don't look out there for what's being advertised, what pays the most, what's trendy, and then adapt your resume to fit the criteria. You see, that's how unicorns wind up in straitjackets. Instead, I invite you to consider starting with you. Look inside for that genius and apply it to the best possible career for you. Because being in the right career for you is amazing. Okay, you will love what you do. You wouldn't even call it work because it doesn't feel like work. It's fulfilling work that you can make a difference in. In your zone of genius, you get highly paid, highly valued, highly appreciated, as you deserve. You can apply this genius in any field and consistently be a success. You're headhunted even when no one's hiring. You're free, you're happy, you're authentic. You have an authentic personal and professional identity that you can use in any career. Everybody wins. So, I went back to Paris to visit my dear friend Helena. She worked at the bank with me, and she still does. There was a reunion party with a couple of our friends to catch up and also to celebrate her promotion to head of operations at the bank. So Helena's booked the flights, the accommodation, and we just had to pay and show up. Fantastic. I arrive at the hotel, Helena's organized everything for us, and she pulls out a spreadsheet of activities that she's planned for us to do for the week. Spreadsheets. But it all made sense. You see, she was working in her zone of genius, and she had been all along. And that's the difference between feeling like Einstein's poor fish trying to climb that tree, or being that majestic, magical, magnificent unicorn, striding effortlessly, freely and confidently across your terrain. So I'd like to leave you with one thought. You were born with genius inside you. Your job is to find it. Thank you.